Directors of a company. According to section 2 clause 34, director means a director appointed to the board of the company. According to Supreme Court of India, a person who guides policy and superintends the working of the company is a director, which means if the person is guiding the policies like rules and regulations and superintends the working of the company. Superintends is nothing but superintendent, which means he supervises the work, he delegates the work, he assigns the work. So superintends the working of the company, he can be called as a director. So collectively these both definitions gives a meaning that a director is a director appointed by the board of the company, and he guides policy and superintends the working of the company. Now let's discuss the facts about the directors. That is, a director should be an individual person. So you have clearly the person meaning and definition in Income Tax Act. So basis of that, an individual person is having the right to appoint as a director, but not the other type of persons, not body of individuals, not the association, not the firm. Only the individual person can act as the director of the company. The next is, a director can be called as an officer of the company. So we are having the position of the directors. So in that I am going to explain what do you mean by the officer. The third is at least 3 directors in a public company, which means if it is a public company, that company should appoint at least 3 directors and in the board of the company. And the next is, if it is a private company, in case of a private company it should appoint 2 directors, and in the case of OPC only 1 director can act. And the next is, company can have maximum of 15 directors. So according to the act there is a minimum and maximum limit of the company's directors. So a company is having the maximum of 15 directors, and it may appoint more than 15 directors after passing the special resolution. So if the company want to appoint more than 15 directors, it has to pass its special resolution in the meeting. And next is subscribers of the memorandum. So here the first directors is nothing but the members who are subscribing the shares for the first time, they can be called as the subscribers. So that subscribers of the memorandum shall be deemed to be act as the first directors until the company appoint the directors, which means until and unless there is a duly appointment of the directors of the company, the first directors shall be deemed as the directors of the company. And the next is possibility for management and control of the affairs of the company vests with the board. It is nothing but the power of the responsibility or the ultimate responsibility for management and control of the affairs of the company. This power is vests with the board of the directors. So the next topic is position of the directors. So the previous one is the facts about the directors, who can act as the director, what is the minimum and maximum number of the directors, who can be deemed as the directors, first director. So these are all some facts regarding the directors of the company. So coming to the position of the directors. Directors as agents, directors as trustees, directors as managing partners, directors as officers, and the directors as employees. So 5 positions of the directors are given here. So the first is the directors as agents. The directors here can act as the agents of the company, which means it shows the relationship between company and its directors, like principal and agent. You know principal and agent relationship, right? Here also same, the company and the director, you can go through the relationship between principal and the agent. So here the directors must act within the powers of the company. or within the scope of the memorandum and articles of the company, which means the directors cannot go beyond the powers. It cannot be ultra wires, it should be only intra wires, within the powers, within the scope, and they must act in the name of the company. So here one thing is very important: directors are acting in the name of the company. They are not taking decisions, they are not taking decisions individually, they are acting in the name of the company. That means if the company has taken any decision, or if the director has taken any decision, it should be clearly said that the company have taken the decision. The company have taken the decision. Next important topic is the director should display a degree of care, skill and diligence while performing the functions, because they are performing on the basis of the or on the name of the company. So they have to act according to the or on behalf of the company. So directors are acting as the agents of the company, and as a principal, company is giving the assigning the work. Principal and agent relationship. Next is directors as trustees. So here directors can act as trustees for the company's property or assets. So for the assets of the company and for the property of the company. Can the company own property? Yes, it is a characteristic of the company. It can own the property. So for that property, trustees should be there. So here the directors are acting as the trustees for the company's property and assets, or you can also say funds in the hands of the directors. Next is the members or the directors are not trustees of the individual shareholders of the company. Like you can have the example, suppose a shareholder Mr. A is a shareholder of a particular company, and Mr. B is a director of the same company, is a shareholder, is a director. So here the director of the company is not trustee, is not acting as a trustee for A's shares. Okay, is not acting as a trustee. So Mr. B as a director is acting as a trustee for the company's property and the assets and the funds only, but not the individual shareholders of the company. Understand? And the next is directors as managing partners. Directors as managing partners. Usually here the directors are contribute a large part of the capital, large part of share capital. So thus they are also called as partners in the capital of the company, because here shareholders are subscribing some shares and they can called as the partners of the company, members of the company. And here also directors are also contributing for the share capital, so they can also called as the members or partners of the company. If it is partnership one, you have to say partners, right? So that's why they have used this name, managing partners. And the directors are not the partners in the strict sense of the some reasons. So we are having some reasons also. If it is given under implied authority, implied authority. Implied authority is nothing but authority which is not written or expressed, but still you can understand. So but the director has no such authority, that is, he is not given such type of authority. The partners are called as the mutual agents, that's it. Okay. So the next is directors as officers. This topic we covered here. An officer of the company. I told you I'll explain the positions, right? So the same thing, directors as the officer. Here in so many provisions, especially in so many provisions, especially penalty provisions, we have gone through these provisions, right? If any officer who is in default is not following the rules or contravenes the provision, they are punishable with a fine or imprisonment. Have you heard about this? So here in this it will come as officer or every officer. Now who is that officer? Ultimately the director. Ultimately the officer in default is nothing but the director. So here directors can also be called as the officers. They are regarded the officers of the company. They are regarded as the officers of the company. So that's why if there is any in compliance, if they are not following the rules, if they are not complying according to the act, they shall be punishable with the imprisonment or the fine or with the both. Next is directors as employees. Directors as employees. So ordinarily, generally, or you can say generally, directors are not the employees of the company. But if a director holds a salaried employment in addition to the directorship, he will be treated as an employment of the company. Like see here, take an example. The director is appointed as a company secretary or managing director or whole time. WTD is nothing but whole time director. So if the director is appointed as CS, that is company secretary or managing director or WTD whole time director, then he can be treated as an employee, because for all these services he is rendering, he should get some salary. He should get a salary if he is providing services or rendering services as a CS or the MD or WTD. Then only he can be called as an employee of the company. The director can be treated as employee if he is rendering services like this and he is entitled the salary. If he is not getting the salary, if he is not rendering these type of services, he cannot be called as the employee. He is a director only. Next important topic is woman director. Here we are having the provisions according to the act. Check here. Every listed company and every other public company having paid up share capital of rupees 100 crore or more, and every such company having turnover, TO is nothing but turnover, of rupees 300 crores or more, shall appoint at least one woman director. Shall appoint at least one woman director. We are having the men director, right? So men director can be appointed. In addition to that, if the company is exceeding their share capital of 100 crore or more, or if the company's turnover, such company is nothing but public company. So such public company turnover is exceeding 300 crore or more, they shall appoint at least one woman director. At least means at least one minimum. So maximum can be 2 or 3 like that. At least one should be there according to the act. So that is a concept of woman director according to the Companies Act 2013. Next is appointment of directors. Important topic from your exam point of view. Appointment of the directors, qualification of the directors, disqualifications of the directors, very important topics from unit 4. So here the first is appointment of the first directors. Next, appointment by members or company, appointment by board of directors, appointed by appointment by order of the tribunal and by central government. CG is nothing but central government. So the first is appointment of the first directors. Who can be called as the first directors? I already told you, the people who are subscribing the shares for the first time can be called as the subscribers, and that subscribers shall be deemed as the first directors until the company is appointing the directors in the general meeting. So at that time period, these subscribers can be called as the first directors of the company. So how that appointment can happen? According to the memorandum. If the subscribers are signing the memorandum, so they are deemed or they are treated as the first directors of the company. Next is appointment by members or the company. So the members can appoint the director. In the name of the company, they can appoint the director. So under that, the first is appointment in general meeting. Second is according to the retirement. Okay. So appointment by members of the company. First is general meeting. So the members of the company are entitled to appoint directors at the very first general meeting. If they are having the general meeting after the incorporation of the company, at that meeting only they have to decide and they have to appoint the directors of the company with the help of their members and in the name of the company. So that is the first thing, general meeting. And the next is retirement. Retirement is nothing but the directors at the first general meeting shall be appointed subject to the provisions. So here we are having some provisions regarding the retirement. So you have to follow according to that. The provision here says that in a public company, not less than 2/3 of the total number of directors must be liable to retire by rotation at its annual general meeting. So there is a procedure for the retirement and the rotation. So based on that, the company can be appointed the directors according to the rotational basis by the members and the company or the company. Next is appointment by board of directors. Board of directors may appoint the directors according to the following manner. You see the first one here, additional director. Here the first is additional director. AD means additional. You can put AD, ADD and DIR, additional director. Additional director is nothing but a director which is appointed needs some more directors. See, we are having the provisions, right? Maximum number of directors is 15. A company, public company can appoint maximum of 15 directors. And if they need more than 15, what they have to do? They have to pass a special resolution in the meeting to increase the number of 15 directors, which means more than 15. If they want more than 15 directors, they have to pass the special resolution in the meeting. So that type of basis, if any additional director comes into picture, then that person can be called as additional director. So next is alternate director. Alternate director, ALDIR, you can put as the shortcut. So alternate director means director appointed by the board during the absence of a director for a period not less than 3 months. So if a person, if there is an absence of the person or absence of the director, any other person coming into the picture and acting as a director, that person can be called as alternate director. So this alternate director will come into picture only if there is any absence of the other director, otherwise there is a no option of the alternate director. Next is director for filling casual vacancy. Casual vacancy means, suppose if the director have expired, it means death of the director, or the term of the director from the office is expired. So in these cases, a position of the director will be vacated from the office. So just to fill the casual vacancy, the directors are appointed by the board. Okay. Next is nominee, the last one. Last under the board of directors, that is nominee. Nominee director, you can see. What do you mean by nominee? Generally you will give a nominee name if you want to open the bank account. Yes. So here also same. Nominee director, someone is suggesting their name. Now who is that someone and who is having that right to give the name? Here we are having the important terms, that is this chance is having by banking or financial institutions. Financial institutions. So the financial institution can suggest the name for the director, and the other is government. Government can also have the right to suggest the name. Now why these financial institutions and the government is having the right to suggest the nominee director? Why they have to give name for the nominee director? Why they are nominating the director name? Because if the government is having shares in the company, shares in ABC company, so government is acting as a shareholder. Government is acting as shareholder, and government is having the right to give the nominee name. Other thing, financial institution. Who can be called as financial institution? They are providing the financial assistance. They call the creditors of the company. So here also they are having the right. So that's why it is given as appointed by board of directors in 4 different types. So here any person nominated by any financial institution or by the government holding the shares of the company. So government is holding the shares in ABC company, that's why government is having the right to give the nominee or to nominate any person as the director. So these are the cases comes under the appointment by board of directors. The next is, which is very important, that is appointment by order of the tribunal. So here order of the tribunal, as you know who is a tribunal for the company law? NCLT or CLT, National Company Law Tribunal. Have you remember? You didn't give any answer if I asked in the class. At least refer your notes and be thorough with the important terms. So National Company Law Tribunal is a tribunal. Okay. So appointment by the order of the tribunal. So if the tribunal is giving the order to appoint someone as a director, means the company has to appoint that person as the director. Generally this type of appointment comes into picture if there is any mismanagement in the company. Mismanage in the company means mismanaging of the affairs of the company. Okay. So in that case only the order of the tribunal will come into picture, and there is a appointment. Next, the last is appointment by central government. So sometimes all the directors of the company resign from their offices. So there is a chance all the directors of the company will resign from their offices. So what about their positions? It can be called as vacated. Yes or no? There is a vacancy for the directors. So in these cases, in these special cases, central government will come into picture and it will appoint persons as the director. Appointment by central government. Central government appoints the directors when if all the directors of the company resign from their offices. Next is qualifications and disqualifications for the directors. So here we are having the list of disqualifications one by one, so that you can understand what are the qualifications he should possess. I already told you this is another way to understand the meaning. If you follow the disqualifications, you get to know the qualifications. First is any person who is of unsound mind. So if any person is of unsound mind means right, that person is not having any right to enter into the contract. So here also same, person who is insane, the person who is not able to take the decisions properly, he is called as unsound mind. So that person is not eligible to act as a director. It is not the qualification of the director. Next is any person who is an undischarged insolvent. Undischarged insolvent means, you know the meaning of insolvency. Being insolvent means not able to pay his debts. Undischarged insolvency means you cannot discharge from the insolvent capacity or insolvency position. That position is called undischarged. So which means the person is not having any assets to pay its liabilities. Generally at that in the insolvency position, where assets are decreasing, liabilities are increasing, so there is some imbalance. This is nothing but imbalance. But what will happen in the undischarged insolvent? Not the less figure is having the negative figure, no assets at all to pay to the liabilities. So that is called undischarged insolvent, which means he cannot be discharged from the insolvency. If he is having some asset, at least he will come out of the insolvency first from some percentage, like 50% or 60% he can pay his debts. But undischarged means he can never come out of that insolvency position. That is called undischarged insolvent, if that person is not allowed as a director. Next is any person who has applied to be adjudicated as an insolvent and his application is pending. Adjudicated as an insolvent means he is already a insolvent, but now his position is changing from insolvent capacity to he is building his capacity to paying his debts, to paying to his creditors. Okay, he is clearing his debts. So that is nothing but a person who is applied. Even he is clearing, even his application is pending, that is a disqualification for the director. Next is any person who has been convicted by the court. Convicted is nothing but the person can be called as a convict. If the person is called as convict, then it is a disqualification for the director. Okay, though he didn't made the mistake, though he is not did the crime, but he is a convict. Okay, so he is convicted by the court means he is a disqualified person. Next is any person who has not paid any calls in respect of any shares of the company held by him. So if he is not paying the call amount of the shares that he subscribed or that he hold, then the shares can be forfeited and that person is not eligible to act as a director. Next is any person for whom an order disqualifying him for the appointment as a director has been passed by the court. So if the court is passing any notice or any order that a person is disqualified, then that person is not having the eligibility. Suppose Mr. A is a director of the company. Suddenly court has passed the order to Mr. A that you are a disqualified person. The court is disqualifying Mr. A to not to act as a director, to not to become as a director of a particular company. So here Mr. A is having the disqualification and he cannot continue his services as a director. The last disqualification is any person who has not applied for the and allotted the director identification number, that is DIR. DIR is nothing but director's identification number. Generally the directors is having the identification number, and the director should furnish this identification number for the meetings that they are attending. Otherwise it is declared as a disqualification to become a director under the act. So this provision is given according to the section 152. So he should furnish this director identification number. So if he is not having or not allotted or not applied for this identification number, again it is a disqualification for the director. Next topic is removal and resignation of director according to section 169. Director can be removed by a company or by the tribunal. So we are having two things to be learned in the removal of the director. Okay, we are having removal and the resignation. First we are going to learn the removal part, then we are moving on to the resignation of the director. Under removal we are having two types, that is removal can be made or director can be removed by the company. So the company is having the power to remove the director, or the tribunal is having the right to remove the director. CLT, company law tribunal. First, by the company or the members according to section 169 clause 1. So according to section 169 there is a removal of the company, there is a removal of directors by the company. So the first clause is saying that by ordinary resolution at its general meeting, a company or members may remove the directors. So here this section of the act is providing a right to remove the director. How? What is the procedure? They have to pass the ordinary resolution, which means they have to take the decision in the meeting with the help of the members, and the company can remove the director. Important note we are having according to this provision is company cannot remove directors appointed by the tribunal and directors appointed according to promotional representation. So here if the tribunal, if the director is appointed by the tribunal, so that person cannot be removed according to the ordinary resolution taken by the members or ordinary decision taken by the members. And the other thing is director appointed according to the proportional representation. So according to these two are the exceptions to the rule. What is the rule? Actually, the company members are having the right to remove the director, but what is the exception? If such director is appointed by the tribunal, no chance, it is an exception to the rule, they cannot remove. The next is if they are appointed according to the promotional representation, again no chance. So these two can be regarded as the exceptions to the rule. Okay, so make it as an important note. Next is special notice, that is section 169. We are learning about section 169. Under that, first clause is giving the right and giving the exceptions to the right to remove the director. Next is section 2 is saying that special notice, that is any member intending to propose a resolution to remove a director at general meeting shall give a special notice to the resolution to the company at least 14 days before. So any member, suppose there is a member of the company, Mr. B is a member of the company and he is intending to propose a particular director. Who is the director? Mr. C. Okay, Mr. B is the member and Mr. C is the director. So here Mr. B is intending to propose for the removal of Mr. C, for the removal of the director. Member is proposing the other person to remove, okay, as the director. So when they can do? At the general meeting they can do, but they should give a special notice of the resolution to the company at least 14 days before, because whose intention it is? Company's intention? No, it is intention of B and he is a member of the company. So how would company can know? Company can know if he has given the special notice of the resolution to the company, so that everyone can know about his intention, about B's intention. So when is the right time? At least 14 days before the meeting. Generally they will give all these things, they will share all these things at the time of meeting. So here before 14 days of that meeting, that special notice has to be given by the member who is having the intention to remove the director. Okay. Next is sending copy of notice to the director according to section 169 subsection 3. So send copy to the director concerned. See here, Mr. B is as a member is having the intention to remove Mr. C. He is a director, right? So here Mr. B intention not only gives special notice to the company, but also he has to give the copy of that notice to Mr. C also, that Mr. B intention is to remove Mr. C, to remove you. So Mr. B has to give not only special notice but also send the copy to the director concerned. Then only director can know about the removal of him by the company or the members, otherwise he cannot know. So the basic information has to be given to the director whether he is removing or not. Okay. So the sending of the copy to the director concerned is very important according to section 169 subsection 3. Next is director entitled to be heard and to make representation. What do you mean by to be heard? To be heard is nothing but to hear the judgment or giving the right to hear. Okay, court hearings. Are you aware of this? Court hearings means court judgments, verdict. So here director is entitled, which means he is having the right to be heard and to make representation. Representation is nothing but he has to represent himself, whether he wants to continue, whether he wants to terminate or not. That too in writing he has to give. He has to give in writing. Next is company to notify the members. The company has to notify its members also according to section 169 subsection 4. So here company has to notify the members regarding the representation made by the director. Previously he is making the representation in writing. So here the company is having the right to notify the members about the representation given by the director. Okay, and it also send the copy of representation to every member. How all the members can know, how the notification can be given, how the company can notify the members? By sending the copy of the representation given by the director to all the members of the company so that they can listen. And here we are having another option, not only giving or circulating or sending the copies. The other option is they can read orally, right to be heard orally. So they can read the representation orally also, so that everyone can be notified. Next is, that is according to section 169 subsection 4. The next is no appointment of removed director. This section says that, this provision say that there is no reappointment of the removed director. The removed director shall not be reappointed as a director of the company. So once removed means he is terminated out of the services, he is out of the company, he cannot be come in again. And the last is compensation. The removed director shall be entitled to compensation or damage which is payable to him in respect of the termination of his appointment as director. So see, if the company is suddenly removing means the company has to pay some compensation or the damages for the director if he incurred any damages, that compensation has to be made, that has to be compensated, that loss has to be compensated, okay, in respect of the termination of his appointment as the director. So with this we are done with the removal of the director by company or members. Under removal, next is, that is B bit. removal by tribunal under section 242. So why there is a removal of the director by the tribunal? If the members of the company cannot does not want the person as a director, they can remove it, right? Now why the tribunal is coming into picture? Because of the mismanagement of the affairs of the company. If there is any mismanagement in the company, for the prevention of that mismanagement, application can be made by the member or the members of a company. So a single member can also take this decision, or the members collectively can take the decision. So they can make to the tribunal. So consequently such directors are removed for their office. So here, for the prevention of that, the members of the company are applying to the tribunal for the removal of the particular directors. Consequently, what tribunal will do? The tribunal will remove such directors from their offices. So this is the procedure according to the removal of the directors by tribunal. Next is resignation of the director. Removal and resignation. So removal is followed with the resignation part. Removal is nothing but they are terminating by the company, and resignation means they are terminating by themselves. They are only resigning the job. They are only resigning as a director from the company. Okay. So the first is by giving a notice in writing to the company, a director may resign from his office. Okay. So what is the procedure to resign? How a person can be resigned as a director? By giving a notice in writing. Notice is a very important here. Giving notice, that too in writing, to the company by the director may resign from his office. So there is a chance for the resign from his office. So to resign, he has to write a letter. He has to give a notice in writing to the company. Second is board to intimate to the registrar and recording of the director's report. So here first responsibility is director's responsibility. Director has to write the notice. Director has to give the notice in writing that he want to resign. Next is board to intimate. It is board's responsibility to intimate to the registrar. So board has to intimate on behalf of the company. The board has to intimate that a particular person, that a particular director or concerned director is going to resign. Okay, that intimation has to be given to the registrar. Who is registrar? Registrar of the companies. And recording of the director's report. What is the director's report? That has to be recorded and has to be given to the registrar also. Next is director shall also forward a copy of resignation along with detailed reason for the registration for the resignation to the registrar. So here I already told you, first obligation, first responsibility is a director. He has to give notice. Then board has to intimate to the registrar. Now again other obligation is there with the director, that he shall also forward a copy. Not only intimation given by the company, director should also give the intimation to the registrar with a detailed reason why he is resigning, why he has taken this decision. Okay, so that has to be forwarded to the registrar, and it has to be filed within 30 days of the resignation in the form number DIR 11. So form number DIR 11 means DI is nothing but director. Okay, short word for the director. So in that form, according to section 168 clause subsection 1, he has to file this form, and he has to give detailed reason for the resignation, and along with the prescribed fee also. Generally these forms include the fee also. Payment of fee has to be made. The last is effect of the resignation. So what is the effect? When the effect of the resignation will come into picture? Effect from the date on which the notice is received by the company. So here first provision, director is giving a notice in writing. Suppose director is giving notice in writing on 2nd February 2020. So on this particular date only, with the effect from so and so Mr. Rajesh. So and so person is going to retire with effect from. So when is the effect of the retirement? On 2nd February only, with effect from 2nd February only. Or the other option, the date which is specified by the director in the notice. Generally they will write on 2nd February and they'll tell with effect from. But the other option is they write the notice on 2nd February 2020 and they'll mention a specified date in the writing, that is I am going to retire, I am Mr. or Mrs. like that. They will mention their name and they'll give on 20th February I am going to resign as a director from the company. So here 20th February is a specified date and 2nd February is the day they have written the notice. Okay, so two options we are having. If they are not providing any specified date, then 2nd February is the effective date. From that day only the particular person can be called as a resigned person, resigned director. He resigned he's resigned as a director. Next is on the day he is specifying the notice, and under that he is specifying the date also, from 20th February as a director I am going to resign. So if he mention all these things, then the director is resigned and this is effective from 20th February. So that is called effect of the resignation according to section 168 subsection 2. So here under the resignation part, these two subsections are very important. Okay, what is a director's responsibility? Director has to file the form number DIR 11 and he has to give detailed reasons for the resignation of the director to the registrar. He has to give and shall be filed within 30 days only. This has to be done. So this section, this provision shows the responsibilities and obligations of the director, and this section, that is section 168 subsection 2, shows the effect of the resignation. So for the resignation topic, these two provisions are very important. Okay, so in the next class we can continue the topic, that is powers and liabilities of the directors.